What's up, everybody? Good morning. Um, so by the title of this video, um, so by the title of this video, you already know. Um, okay, so I get a lot of flack. Okay, all right, so I get a lot of flack for um the New York Giants. Like, yeah, Giants fans has to be one of the dumbest and worst fan base ever. Like, if y'all can't put two to two together and notice that Joe Shane and Brian Dable is coming back, then I don't know what to tell y'all. You know, you're like, y'all could continue to recycle head coaches, recycle owners. I mean, GMs, they just got here. Give them time. You know, like they were basically handcuffed with Daniel Jones. Like, I don't know what what language y'all speak, but you have to give them time. You have to let them pick the quarterback. It's either they fail with their quarterback or they succeed with their quarterback. They didn't pick Daniel Jones. They didn't even draft him. And that was Dave Gettleman's wrongdoing. John Mayer, okay, so let me rewind back, right? Um, so, okay, so it was the year 2024. I mean, yeah, 2024. Um, who's the, hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna run you down the list of New York Giants head coaches. Okay, since Tom Coughlin, okay, you had Bob, you had Doc. Well, I'm not gonna go that far. I might probably go. Okay, and then they give you they give you a graph, right? They have number GC. They have WL ties wins. They have they have the cross, and they have the double cross, and then they have the star. So green, the green is spent entire NFL head coaching career with the Giants. Um, I think that's I would probably say brownish, brown or greenish, kind of brown. Selected into the Pro Hall of Fame as a player. Uh, you have the pink, which is selected to the Pro Hall of Fame as a head coach. Bob. He spent his whole entire career with the New York Giants, 1925. Benny. Benny was selected to the Pro Hall of Fame as a player. Steve Owen, he was selected as a Hall of Fame, or he was selected as a Pro Hall of Fame as a coach. And then you had Jim, Alan, Alex, Bill, John, Bill Parcells, obviously, Ray, Dan, Jim Fossil. Yes, that's the head coach who took us to the Super Bowl. Even though he lost bad, he still took us to the Super Bowl. And then you had Tom Coughlin. Um, you had Ben McAdoo, Steve Spagnuolo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, now Brian Dable. So after Tom Coughlin, you had 5 different head coaches. Okay, 5 different head coaches. Well, let me go back. Since Bill Parcells, you had Ray, who was pretty good. And then after that, Dan Reeves was not good. And then after that, they hired Jim Fossil, who was actually pretty good. He had a 112 to 58 win total percentage. And then you had Tom Coughlin from 2004 to 2015. You had Ben McAdoo for 2 years. You had Steve for 1. You had Pat Shurmur for 2, Joe Judge for 2. And now you have Brian Dable, who won Coach of the Year in 2022, something that Tom Coughlin never won. But he did wind up winning 2 Super Bowls. Okay? Now, if you look at the GMs that the New York Giants have, if you look at the general managers that the Giants had over the years, which they'll never show, obviously, but hold on, maybe they will. Now they had Jerry Reese. Okay, so the New York Giants only had 4 GMs. They had uh, Ray Walsh, they had George Young, Jerry Reese, and Ernie. Now Ernie spent 9 years with them. Jerry Reese 11, George Young 19, and Ray 27. Um, Dave Gettleman, I forgot about him. Um, he had a 1976 wins and losses. Okay, that's 2.92%. And then you had Jerry Reese from 2007 to 2017. He had a 91.85 win loss ratio, which was 0.517. He had 2 playoff appearances, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. And his tender was 11 years. Dave Gettleman tender was 4 years. Dave Gettleman, 0 championships. Dave Gettleman, 0 playoff. And then you had Ernie, who had a 73-71 win-loss record, not bad. 0.50, I mean 0.500. Just like um just like Jerry Reese, they both went to the playoffs 4 times each, but Ernie never won a Super Bowl, and he's been with the Giants for 9 years. Then you go to George Young, who had a 155 to 139 winning to wins and loss ratio. That was five. That was 0.527. He's gone to the Super Bowl 8 times. Well, actually, he's gone to the playoffs 8 times. Excuse me, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. So he has been. So he's gotten to the Super Bowl, or he's gotten to the playoffs more than Jerry Reese and more than Ernie combined, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. And then you had Annie, who had a 21 to 51 ratio, 0.292. He's never made a playoff appearance. He's never won Super Bowl. And then you had you had Ray Wash, who had a 190, 158 winning loss percentage, which was 0.533. He's gotten to the playoffs 7 times, and he's won 1 Super Bowl out of it. So as you can see, the Giants have missed on. No, actually, the Giants hit on one, two, three. The Giants had the Giants have hit on three good GMs, and obviously, um, they have picked bad GMs. They only picked 2 bad GMs, and that was Andy and Dave Gettleman, who had the worst winning and losing percentage in the NFL. So yeah, when it comes to the track records, the Giants are not good at all. Like they're not good. Um, I think you know, like everybody's hip hooray for the draft, but people fail to realize when the Colts and the Redskins was in that position, they had pieces in place for that quarterback to come in and be comfortable. RG3, he had a good running game, he had a good passing game, he had a subpar defense. Andrew Luck, he had 2 good tight ends that they drafted, plus T.Y. Hilton, plus a very good running game. I think he had Bradshaw at the time. He had Akeem Nicks, and he had other few ex-Giant players. And they went from worst to best, both of their records, you know, because obviously Colts was picking number one, the Redskins was picking number two. So after the whole draft and everything, we slowly waited for them to bounce back. And they did. Both of them made the playoffs the next following year. Why was that? Because you have to put pieces around the quarterback. I mean, if you look at this Giants roster, it's not. I mean, it still has a lot of holes. You know, I mean, I know a lot of people are excited for the quarterback, but if you don't have an offensive line that can block consistently, if you don't have receivers that's 1 through 8 or that's one through 4, you're going to get hammered. Okay. If you don't have a great defense, you know, we've been giving up a lot of yards to opposing running backs. Even when Dexter Lawrence was on the field, we were still giving up yards. I mean, look how many yards we gave up to Brian, the running back for the Commanders. You know, week one against the Vikings, look how many yards we gave up against Jones. You know what I'm saying? So we're not good against the run. We're not. So it's not just because of the quarterback. The quarterback is more of a servable piece, like he's not the main course, like he's just out there dishing out passes, you know. I mean, for years, the players used to value offensive linemen because of their value, but now that position has decreased over the years. I mean, I don't even see people wearing offensive lineman jerseys anymore. And that was the thing back in the day, in the 70s and 80s and 90s. I mean, you had one. I'm not saying that you saw like a whole bunch of people wearing offensive lineman jersey, but that was the thing back in the day. But now you see receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, etc. So I'm just gonna say Jerry Reese did an okay job. He didn't do the best job in the world, but he did an okay job. Tom Coughlin, obviously, he was within one game. If they had lost that game against the Redskins, I don't know if he would have been fired or not. But they didn't fire him after that Redskins loss. They gave him one more chance, because a lot of people were writing him off for like, fire him, fire him, fire him. And that's not how the Giants do business, you know? Like, they just got there. Well, they haven't really got there, but they're cleaning they are cleaning Dave Gettleman's mess. Like, you have to give them time. I know New York City is not a patient fan base. They want more. They want things done fast. And that's what irks me about it. They have no patience whatsoever. Like, they have zero patience, and that's what kills me about Giants fans. They want things done so fast, and they want things done their way, but they're not focusing on the big picture. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But like, like I told everybody from the beginning of August, the Giants was going to have a bad record, and I was right. I told y'all last year the Giants was not going to make the playoffs. I was right. Like, I literally wrote this down. I wrote it down right here. Okay, this was May 6th. I put this at 7:45 p.m. year 2022. And then I went on to say if the Giants do make the playoffs, I was going to delete my YouTube channel. You know, like, this was way back in like around or heading into free agency. And I wrote down, like, if the New York Giants were to miss the playoffs or make the playoffs, I should say, or have a decent record, and then I signed it. I signed it, and look at them now. Right now they're holding the number one seed. I mean, the number one draft pick, and they haven't had an. I mean, I can't remember. I think 1965 was the last time the Giants had the number one pick. They didn't have the number one pick when they had Eli because they had to trade down. They had to trade down. But I'm not saying this to disrespect the Giants, because The Giants are still my team. I just hate stupid people. I really do. Stupid people irks my nerves. They really do. And I feel like the Giants fan base are full of them. And this is why the Giants are consistently bad at anything they do. They can never get anything right. They can never get anything right. And trust me, when I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But usually I'm right. Like I did it when Odell Beckham Jr. here. He didn't pan out. Okay. Kadarius Toney was a reach. Daniel Jones was a reach. Barkley, at the time, you could say Barkley was not a reach, but seeing the quarterbacks that was available, I don't blame Dave. I do not blame Dave Gettleman for picking Daniel Jones. I mean, for drafting Barkley, because the rest of the quarterbacks were trash. You know, the rest of the quarterbacks were trash. So that's the only positive I'll give Dave Gettleman. Like if you saw what he did to the Carolina Panthers, how come he didn't do it here? I mean, look at the talent he accumulated over there at Carolina. Luke Kuechly, uh, Thomas Davis, you know what I'm saying? Cam Newton, Steve Smith, Musa Muhammad. Like how come he couldn't how come he couldn't take that talent, or how come he couldn't put the talent that he accumulated in Carolina and do it over here? Like, you know how much better we would have become if Dave Gettleman wasn't such a prick and didn't do what he did over here? Or like imagine I'm not gonna say imagine, but if David Gettleman did the things that he did in Carolina over here, we would have been 10 times better. We would have had a better quarterback, better receiving core, better defense. You know what I'm saying? But he did the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like he did the opposite. So I wrote it down here. This was May 6th, 7:45 p.m., year 2024. I said that if the New York Giants were to have a better record or make the playoffs, I would delete my YouTube channel. And I signed it. A signature signed it. We're in December and they're what, 2-12? So who's wrong? Who's right and who's wrong right now? I'm never wrong because I know the New York Giants. The New York Giants was always built on defense. They never had a great offensive coordinator. Never. They had so many great defensive coordinators. Think about so many great defensive coordinators over the years. They never had a great offensive coordinator. That's why Eli Manning struggled throughout most of his career. You know, Kevin Gilbride, he was not good. I mean, I guess he was good for those two Super Bowls that he was a part of, but after that, he just disappeared, or he was just not good anymore. You know, so yeah, we always had great defensive coordinators, but never a great offensive coordinator, because the Giants, the Giants was built on defense. I mean, the Giants always preach defense more than anything. Like why you think we struggle to score points? Like how come we can't be like most of these teams, like the Chiefs or the Eagles, that can score? Like we'll have like a surprisingly 40 point performance or 50 you know what I'm saying? Like we'll like we'll have those shocking performances that nobody, thinks of, you know what I'm saying? Um, but our DNA has always been the defense, you know. It's always been defense. And Malik Neighbors has been a very disappointing draft pick, if I'm not being honest. You know, I never liked it to pick. I wanted to I wanted like I wanted Roma Doomsday for the simple fact that he was a bigger target. Because Tom Coughlin would have loved the Doomsday. I'm not saying that he would have picked Malik Neighbors, but because of size, obviously Roma Doomsday can do things that Malik Neighbors can't. Malik Neighbors is more of a gadget player, like get the ball to him fast in space. Like he's not one of those deep threat receivers that's gonna take the top off. He's not like a Randy Moss or a T.O. He's not one of those players. He's more of a Odell. He's more of a Tyreek Hill type, you know. But they don't last. They. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could say that if you could say, um, you could say Odell Beckham Jr. had a better rookie year, but again, like I said in my other video, live competition. You know, Odell didn't have no competition whatsoever. Like I could say that 2014 draft class was but it was garbage 10 years ago. 10 years ago we made a mistake. 10 years later we're still making the same mistake. That not saying that Roma Doomsday would have changed the New York Giants' ways of winning, but at least they had something, like they had something to go to, Like 10 years ago, I wanted Mike Evans. 10 years later, Mike Evans is still on the team. Mike Evans is still on that damn team 10 years later. And that wasn't the greatest wide receiver class in 2014. It really wasn't. Um, so, again, New York Giants fans just got to be patient. And they have got whoever their draft pick is, whether they trade, I don't know why they would trade um, the pick, but if they do wind up trading the pick, I wouldn't be surprised. Or if they draft a quarterback that the Giants fan base don't want, or if they feel like, okay, this is our quarterback and we sticking with him. Because they don't have to pick the 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 select two, or they don't really have to pick Shador or Cam, you know? Like if they feel like their quarterback is in this draft class, whether it's Melrose or Beck or whoever, they're going to pick that quarterback. And if they do wind up picking Shador Cam, this would be the first time in NFL history, or New York Giants history, I should say, that they picked an African American quarterback. Because if you look at their quarterback track record outside of Eli and Phil Simms, all the quarterbacks have been white. T.Y. Hilton as well. So they have never picked, like most of their African American players are more on offense and defense, especially like defensive end, defensive tackle, cornerback, linebacker, receiver, tight end, etc., etc. But this would be the first time in NFL history that the New York Giants select an African American quarterback. And if they don't go that route and they pick a quarterback like a Melrose or John Beck, who's out for the season, by the way. So that's probably going to be another head scratcher because dealing with injuries, you got to stay healthy, you know. So um, we'll see, man. We'll see. Um, but I'm not here to disrespect Giants fans. It's just some of y'all just be acting slow sometimes. Like y'all have to give them time, you know. Like this is not their fault. If you're gonna blame anybody, blame Gettleman because because he's the one who put y'all. And I said this way before the draft started. Dave Gettleman just put y'all back 5 years by drafting Daniel Jones. And now look at we, and like like Daniel Jones was drafted in 2018. So do the math: 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, heading into 2025. We are 7 years behind. I said five, but now we are 7 years behind. So if we would have kept him another year, it would have been 8 years. So, oh man, it's just one of those mistakes. Hiring a bad head coach. Like we've gone through four. We've gone through four GMs. No, one, two, three, four. We've been through five GMs outside of Jerry Reese. Right. Hold on, let me go back. Yeah, so the GMs were Jerry Reese, who was there from 2007 to 2017, Ernie from 1980, no, from 1998 to 2006, so he's been way overdue. George, who was actually pretty good, and Ray. So outside of Dave Gettleman, Reese had a 91 percentage win. Ernie had a 73. George had a 155. Andy had a 21 out of 51. And Ray had a 190, 158. So we hit on one, two, three, four. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've had six general managers. Now, obviously, Joe Shane is not in here yet, but we've gone through six. We've gone through six GMs, and out of those six GMs, only four of them hit out of two. Dave Gettleman and Andy was the only two that didn't hit. I mean, you would have thought that the Giants would have had more GMs more than that, but they only had six. Well, if you count Joe Shane, seven now, but this organization is not what y'all think it is. I mean, y'all could crash or not crash, but y'all can, make fun of the Cowboys how y'all want to. They know how to do business. I mean, like I said in my Superman post, I don't like the Cowboys. I don't hate the Cowboys, but I do respect them because the way they do business. I mean, they always getting these receivers that be flying out of nowhere. Dez, T.O., now, CB Lamb. Like, how come we can't get receivers like we had that in the past? Like, I'm not gonna lie, like Tom Coughlin was a wide receiver head coach. So that's why Eli Manning had very good receivers. He had the youngest receiving core in 2009. Manningham, Smith, Hakeem, obviously. Plexico Burr shot himself. Toomer had retired. Who drafted Ruben Randall, Odell Beckham Jr. You know, but that 88 number, man, is like it, it's crazy. Like the Chiefs know how to do business. The Ravens, like it's like how come we can't be that typical team? You know, and all the free agents that used to come here, like an intro role or a DRC, Jack Rabbit, they used to produce. Now they're not even producing no more. It's like half of these free agents are like going down the toilet. I mean, you had, you know, Nate Soldier, who was the biggest flop that we had. He didn't do nothing. No, Brian Burns, we paid him all this money. He didn't do nothing. We keep drafting wrong. Now, I don't know if that's on the scouts, you know, because I don't think that's totally on the GM. I think that's on the scouts. I think the Giants have a terrible scouting department. I don't like their scoutings at all. I don't know who was here before when we had good scouting, because we used to scout pretty good. We used to find gems in the draft. Hakeem Nicks, Bradshaw, Jacobs, OC, Tuck, Strahan. We don't have those anymore. And if none of the draft picks are hitting, that's bad. That means that your scouting department has zero intellectual thought process when they be drafting these players. But I'll leave it alone. And this is the last time I'm going to talk about the Giants until the draft ends. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, Giants fans just got to be patient. You know. I mean that's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all want everything fast, and this is why y'all in the position y'all are right now. Like nobody wants to. Like people are gonna watch the Giants regardless. It doesn't really matter if they're trash or not. You know. I mean, look, the Lions have been trash for years. Their fans still show up. Cleveland has been trash for years. Guess what? Their fan base still shows up. So it doesn't really matter if the team is trash or not. Like fans are still gonna come to support their team because they're blindly fooled. Like for me, I still watch it from time to time. I don't react to it because obviously YouTube is going to, shut it down or block my video or take down my channel. Now, if I don't show it, I could just put it up on ESPN and I could let y'all to watch it. But that's what I'm going to start doing. Sunday, yeah. So, um, but I don't hate the New York Giants. I just hate the toxicity of the fan base. Like this has nothing to do with the New York Giants. I think the New York Giants are still one of the best run organization when they want to be. I just feel like fans are too impatient and they want to run coaches and run GMs every 2 years. Like we did with Dave Gettleman and Pat Sherman, right? Every 2 years. Hope if this doesn't work, recycle again, recycle again. Where is that going to end? Like that's not going to end. Because if you bring a new head coach, new GM, they're gonna want their new regime. They're gonna want their new quarterback. So again, you see what Tom Coughlin and Eli had to work with. They're stuck with each other. Now, I don't know if Brian Dable doesn't like Joe Shane, or I don't know if Joe Shane doesn't like Brian Dable, but they have to work together. Like, remember, the GM's job is more important than the head coach. The head coach can say, I want this one, or, he could have his input. But the GM has 110% of the control of the team. Okay? So when you see draft picks being made and signing bonuses and free agents, that's all the head coach. I mean, that's all the general manager. The head coach's job is just to see who plays and, you know, scheme wise and set up schemes and, prepare their players for each game. And then the owner just takes care of the, financial stuff. That's what the owner is there for. The owner is just to take care of the ticket prices and the concession stand prices and the parking lot ticket sales and stuff like that. Like it's levels, You have head coach, GM, owner. It's pretty much it. And then the players are all the way over, obviously down. But Giants fans, you have got to give them time. If they suck with a quarterback, move them the hell on and recycle again if you need to. But Dave Gettleman messed this team up bad. This kind of reminds me of how my Knicks was when they hire Isaiah Thomas as general manager. Completely terrible job. Even Phil Jackson, completely terrible job. You know, now my Knicks are doing better, 10 times better. Now I could just breathe and just relax and sit down and watch my Knicks perform better because they have better people around in the office. Like you see, when you have better people around in the office, it's like a it's like a sponge. Everybody just gravitates towards one another. Right now, the Giants are a hot mess, and until they fix what they need to fix, don't expect this quarterback to come in here next year and save y'all. Don't. Like he'll put up his stats, he'll put up his stats, but it won't not matter because the Giants are constantly in their way. You know, the Giants are constantly making bad decisions after bad decisions after bad decisions. Rest in peace to Jim Fossil. Took the Giants to the Super Bowl. Took the Giants to the Super Bowl. Didn't win it. Obviously, you see the team that we was going up against, but still took the Giants to the Super Bowl. And the year after that, or 2 years after that, we got Tom Coughlin. And then 2 more years, we hired Jerry Reese. Chris Ernie was not a good owner. GM as, you know, like Ernie was not a good GM. Like Ernie had 4 trips, didn't win. Hold on. Yeah, Ernie had 4 trips. He's been there 9 years, 4 trips, no championships. George, 8 trips, 2 championships. Jerry Rice, 4 trips, 2 championships. Even Ray got us a championships. 7 trips to the playoffs, 1 championship. So we had 6 GMs. We had a total of 539 wins, 550 losses, a winning percentage of .495, 5 championships, 23 playoff, and we had 75 years of experience. I mean, only if Ernie could have gotten us one, at least one, we could have at least had 6 and 23, or actually 24. We would have had 24 playoff appearances, 6 championships. So now let's look at the owners. Okay. Now, obviously, we have co ownership. You know what I'm saying? Um, and what that means is they both share the team. Now, Willington Mara was the dad of, or was the dad of John Mara. And then obviously, Bob Tisch is the son of Steve Tisch. Okay, so Steve Tisch. Okay, never mind. Let me go back. So John, no, so actually Tim Mera had a 177 um, winning to 109 losses, which is a 0.69%. He's won 3 championships. He's been to the playoffs 12 times, and he's been a tender with the Giants for 26 years. Willington Mera and Jack Mera had 58 wins, 31 losses, 0.652% wins. Been to the actually been to the playoffs 4 times. Didn't win any, despite having a winning record. And then we had Willington Mera, who had a 165 winning percentage to 200 losses, and he had a 0.52 winning percentage. He's been to the playoffs 6 times, but he's won 2 Super Bowls. Willington Mera and Bob Tisch had a 109 to 114 win loss percentage. That was 0.489. They've been to the playoffs 4 times. They won 0 championships. John Mara and Steve Tisch obviously took over in 2005 through 2018. They're still currently members, or they're still currently ownerships of the team. They're 115 to 109 0.513. They've gone to 6 playoffs and obviously won 2 Super Bowls. And then you got Steve Tisch, current year 2019 to 2021. They have won 14 wins and they have lost 35, which is a 0.286 winning percentage. And they have gone to 0 playoff wins. Okay. And then you could go to head coaches, which I already explained. Uh, 12 years with Tom Sherman, 8 years, not Pat Sherman, not Sherman. He coached from 1961 through 1968, 8 years. Bill Parcells coached 8 years. Tom 12, Steve Owen 24. So out of God, I don't even know how many head coaches we had. We had a lot, 22 head coaches, and out of those 22, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Out of 22, only 12 hit. Pat Shermer was here from 2018 to 2019. Ben McAdoo was not really considered a head coach. He was more of a interim head coach. And then you have Ben McAdoo for 2017. Tom Coughlin obviously won 2 Super Bowls, 5 trips, had a 102 to 90 loss win record. Jim Fossil had 58 and 53 on the 3 playoffs, didn't win the championship. Bill Parcells won 2 championships after going 5 years to the playoffs, or 5 times to the playoffs actually. Um, so yeah, so it was just hit and miss. So I'll do the draft. I'll do the draft picks tomorrow. But yeah, this Giants team was lucky, very lucky to win 4 championships. If you look at the track record, very lucky. So I'll end it here. This is going to be part one. Part two is probably going to come tomorrow or Saturday. So like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.